Hey y'all, good morning. This is Ms. No, I don't want. Okay, good. This is Mrs. Wethington. We are going to continue our discussion on Gold Glory God, which is the motivations that motivated explorers, missionaries, what have you, to leave the old world and come searching for the new world, which is what we now know of as the Americas. We did discuss some of this when you all were in seventh grade when I was teaching world history. We talked about exploration after we were finished with the bubonic plague and the Renaissance. And if you remember, the Renaissance kind of created this culture of like progressive thinking and with a focus on education, uh, bettering oneself, bettering society as a whole, and really searching and seeing what's out there. So that's where we left off last year with regards to exploration. And also, we learned about the Columbian Exchange. And the Columbian Exchange has tons to do with what we're talking about here about people leaving the old world, coming to the new world. So, without me babbling on, let's go on and get to it. Your learning target today is I can describe the motivating factors that caused explorers and others to come to the Americas. All right, let's change that to the Americas. Because we are not just talking about America, we're talking about like North America, South America, the continents. And let's see what's wrong with this one. I can describe. Okay, cool. So that to the Americas. Okay, good. Excuse me. So let's go on and highlight our learning target. And the title of our discussion today is Gold, Glory, God. And by the way, since we did go over some of this last year, we probably used these notes because, I mean, why invent it if we already have it? So if you were in my social studies class last year after the classes split, I'd definitely go to your Google Drive and look up Gold, Glory, God. And if you had this from last year, awesome, turn it in. If you don't, then just scoot through it. In fact, I think we may have gone over this before the classes split, so it very well may be that all of you have these notes and that this is just going to serve as a review. So if that's the case, even better. So Gold, Glory, God describes the motivations of exploration, expansion, and conquest, allowing European countries to rise to world domination between the 1400s and the 1750s. Motivations, like we were talking about the motivations of exploration, all I mean by the motivations of exploration is why, like, what was the reason that these explorers and these missionaries, what was the reason? Their motivations were their reasons for wanting to leave the old world and set out and set sail for the new world. So please highlight motivations of exploration, expansion, and conquest, allowing European countries to rise to world dominance, blah, 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 all that jazz. Highlight. Okay, cool. Europeans were the first to discover North and South America. The reason I do my little air quotes is because people were already living here. Indigenous peoples to North and South America, like they already knew that it was a thing. So, like, they were here. So the Europeans were the first to find out that there was a new world, so to speak. But North and South America were definitely here, definitely had people living here. The first European countries to explore were Portugal, Spain, and England. And in the beginning of exploration, those were like the main three European countries that were into the exploration. If you remember when we talked about the rise of like the Italian Renaissance and all that, and the Medici family, Italy did get into the exploration game, but they weren't as a major player as Portugal, Spain, and England. Particularly, like initially, they weren't a major player in it because the Medici family was more so focusing Italy on banking and controlling like world banking. And by world banking, I mean like controlling banking in the European continent. So that was more of the focus, and then Italy kind of got into the exploring too. So, as I was just saying, between the 1400s and 1700s, these countries, along with Italy, were the most powerful European country. However, the primary focus of Italy was trade and banking, which was mostly controlled by the Medici family. And all right, so one of the Medicis ended up being a pope. I don't remember which pope it was. I want to say Pope Pius, but I don't think that's right. But the Medici family, their concept of power was that they didn't need to be directly involved in government. Instead, if they controlled the banking, trade, and the money, like the economy of Italy, and more so regional in the European continent, if they felt if they controlled those aspects of society, then they would not need to be directly involved in government, because controlling the money is more like a direct way of controlling what happens than controlling the government. So anyway, I'm not saying that that's one way or the other. I'm just saying what like their plan was, as how they were going to come to power. All right, so people that were motivated by gold, those people were motivated by money, because when I say gold, I mean money. And this refers to the search for material gain through the trading of Asian spices, African slaves, American metals. Those were the three top money generating trade. And I'm not saying that this was an appropriate trade. I'm just saying what it was. These were the three things that were traded. Well, not the only three, but the three money making. So that was one aspect of obtaining material gain. Another aspect was the spoils acquired by explorers who attacked and conquered other people. Like when they attacked a village or whatever, they would take their gold or like the things that were valuable. The explorers' purpose was to conquer. It was not to help the native populations. So it's quite unfortunate what would happen to native populations when they were conquered by the explorer and the explorers, conquistadors, and people like that. However, that was just part of it. Like there was a victor and there was spoils and there were the people that were conquered and all that. Not saying it's appropriate the things that are morally right. Just talking about what happened. Another fun fact: when the big ships that come around, like this, the historical thing, the recreation of the Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria, they came out in Moorhead about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And like you could go on there and you could tour the ships. And they talked about this during the tour. Rum, which is liquor, was actually like a form of currency rather than money and gold. Like they would pay for things using rum. So that was super important. It was super important on the ships because that's the way that they kept their water supply from being tainted. Okay, so moving along to glory. This refers to the competition between European monarchies. And keep in mind, monarchies are like kings and queens and stuff like that. So, let me highlight that. So, we're talking mainly about the competition between the monarchies in England, Spain, and Portugal. And part of this whole exploring thing, it was to benefit the explorers themselves, but it was also to benefit the kings and queens of these of these countries, because when they acquired new land and that helped their position in European politics, they had control over more people, stuff like that, and that was a way of boosting their control in like their European area. And then finally, another motivation of exploration was God. It was the desire to spread the word of Christianity to indigenous peoples and to those that were referred to as heathens because they had not experienced the word of God, so to speak. So this refers to the use of religion to convert native cultures to Christianity, and in some cases the English language. And basically what would happen is they would use Christianity to teach the English language. And one unfortunate side effect of this was assimilation, meaning that the people from the New World, the civilized, so to speak, were coming to these new areas and assimilating the native population, which meant making the native population speak English. They were at times forcing some of the native populations to accept Christianity. and leave behind their culture. So that's the negative side of a simulation. Um, I guess there are some positive sides in some situations, but these were definitely not those times. All right, so for the Crusades, you had militant crusades, which were like military crusades, kind of like the Spanish Inquisition, that did not end well for many, many millions of people. And then you had Christian missionaries. The militant missionaries used Christianity to assimilate the natives. So basically, convert or die. So there wasn't much positivity going on there, not rainbows or sunshine. Missionaries, on the other hand, that were just here to spread the word of God, they just wanted to help native populations. Not saying that the native populations necessarily needed help or were going out searching for the help. So while maybe their heart was in the right place, maybe the people that they were helping didn't want or need help at all. But that's the conversation for another day. So the missionaries wanted to spread the word, and some just wanted to escape the religious persecution of their homelands. So they themselves were escaping what they felt was religious censorship and stuff like that. And persecution is the punishment for one's religious beliefs. So, like, if someone, let's say, for example, if somebody is killed because they believe in a certain religion or whatever, like, because if they are killed because of their religious beliefs, that would be a martyr who has been persecuted. So now you know. All right, so militant crusades and Christian missionaries. I'm just going to highlight that, and then you can read like the specifics below. All right, so I think that's about it for our discussion of Gold, Glory, God. We do have a reading assignment that we're going to do, and I'll go through and annotate it and help y'all with that. So this is it with this. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me, and y'all have a great day. Bye.